Hello everyone from Hamburg, Germany. Today we have a fairly simple Power BI challenge. Some data from an online shop that sells can and bottle openers. As usual, I'm operating from my personal definition for controlling, asking good questions to the business and handling the answers in a productive manner. Now this is a pretty small one. This is probably going to be pretty quick. And my objective is to get clarity and overview very quickly anyway, but this one should be really swift. I start with a general analysis of the business to identify questions that make sense to ask this business. Some of my general questions that I start with are, is this a complex business model? In this case, it's not complex at all. We have 3 different products that we sell, and there isn't any complexity when it comes to the packing, the shipping, or anything. We have nothing to do with complex processes with exchange rates or anything like that. What are the chances of repeat business in this case? Well, how many times do you buy a can and a bottle opener? You probably don't buy one every month, like you don't buy a fridge or a washing machine every month. So probably not. Geographical differences, I don't think there's much difference in how one uses a bottle opener in Japan to how someone uses a bottle opener in the Netherlands. I guess not. So yeah, also we don't have to deal with different languages or different cultures in this case. I mean, rumor has it that the Irish do a lot of drinking, so maybe they use up their openers a little more quickly, but I don't know how true that cliche is. What are the main levers for risk and profit? I don't see many major risks here. Yeah, main lever for profit is certainly the purchase price in this case, and to some extent the shipping cost. And with online businesses, of course, you always have the question of return rates. This one doesn't appear to have many returns at all. Are there any categorizations that make sense? Well, we have 3 different products that we're selling, so I don't think they would need subcategories here. And I don't see any other reason to do any other categorizations. In this case, management has some actual questions. They want to see the development of sales, revenue, and amounts of goods over the years because they have increased business quite a bit over the years. They want a rough outline of margins. I think I'm going to do margin 1 and margin 2 in this case, involving the purchase price and the shipping cost, and an overview over customers' favorite payment methods. So this should be fairly easy to manage with the small amount of data that we have. Of course, if you want to build a reporting that has substantial value, you discuss the reports with the recipients. I make suggestions, and in many cases they accept them, or they may have some suggestions for changes. When I approach a project like this, I have a few personal preferences which I follow if nobody says any different and if everybody agrees. One is to show each step of a calculation, how I arrive at a certain metric or a certain KPI, a certain mathematical result. Of course, I can do 13 steps in one formula, but then people can always follow, and who knows, in 6 months, do I still know what I did, and will anybody else still know what I did when they look at it? So I like to do everything step by step and in small steps. I also have some color conventions that I use if nobody objects, or if sometimes the company has their own color scheme that they want applied, so then of course I do that. But I like to do revenue in a nice fat green, do margin in a medium light blue, do direct costs in a medium red, and overhead costs in a blood dark red. Of course, when I use data bars and tables, they are too dark. They cover too much of the writing in the table, so then I use lighter colors. Also, I sort of used to follow the philosophy of a guy named Carl Glickman, who was the controller of the band Kiss for some years, and he used to say financial reports should be printed on fish wrap, so they shouldn't look too nice. When it comes to monthly reports, I'm not sure. I'm still agreeing with that. Of course, the emphasis should be on quickly answering business questions and really getting through and getting clarity and answers quickly. And aesthetics are not the main point. On the other hand, if people work with reports a lot, they should at least not be ugly. First and foremost, they should be readable and understandable, and they should recognize them next month. So you should establish some recurring standards, like certain color schemes that will now always use green for revenue. Then people will recognize it. Yeah, but I'm certainly not winning any art prizes with my reports. When it comes to the raw data, we don't have much. We have 3 Excel workbooks, the sales with the different years. We have a dim product table, definitely payment modes, and I think we have a table with purchase prices within the products. We'll take a look. So what do we have? We have the fact sales table. It spans 8 years, I think. We have 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. With the day, we have a 24-hour format time. We have an article ID, product ID. How many? Like most people order 1. I don't think anybody ever ordered 2. I mean, how many bottle openers do you need? Well, sometimes if you have a big house, maybe you need a few more. We have sales price net. We have payment mode ID. And the shipping cost. In the products, we have the product IDs, the sales price of 2015, product names, and we have average purchase prices that some smart kid put together in the company. Of course, they don't have a proper ERP system. They do not have a giant software. They don't run SAP or Oracle or anything super sophisticated, but they are conscious of the importance of margins, and that's great because too many people only look at the revenue. They don't look at the margin. They're not conscious that part of the money they have earned is immediately gone because they also had to buy the products. So it's great they are conscious of that. And then we have a small table with the names of the payment modes. All right, so let's go to Power BI and start loading. Import data from Excel. Data. First, let's do the fact sales table and immediately go over to the Power Query Editor. Actually, this model is so small, I would probably not even do it in Power BI in real life. I'd probably use the Power Query Editor to append all the years and then do data analysis in Excel. But since this is a Power BI challenge, we're going to do it this way and head over to the Power Query. This worked pretty well. Sometimes often when I load data from Excel, I get some empty columns. This is great. So let's append the queries and let's append them as new. 3 or more tables. So I'm just appending all the different years. And I call that fact sales 2015 to 2022. Interesting, now that I have appended the queries, I get quite a few empty columns, all with null values. I have found that sometimes this can happen when the columns in the different tables have slightly different names, but that's not even the case. The data type has been recognized very well. Okay, with time we're going to do going to transform that into time only. Thank you. Of course, I'm going to disable load for all the tables we don't need. So otherwise they all get loaded into the model, which is unnecessary. Now let's get all the other tables. All right, products. We have 2 tables. We need both, so let's load both. See, okay, product ID has been recognized. Product name, we do not need the sales price of 2015 here. The average purchase prices, are they factored in? Interesting question. They are fact, sort of. But first let's promote the headers. Okay, so yeah, the year has been recognized. Then we have decimal numbers, and I'm gonna have to see how I might have to unpivot this one later. We'll see. And then we still need the table with the payment modes, which is completely straightforward. Table 1, payment mode ID has been recognized as a whole number, payment mode is a text. Perfect, we're equipped. Now I'm just gonna close and apply, head over to the relationships, and see how they have been recognized or not. Now we see the payment mode ID has been recognized. The product ID was first called article in the fact sales table, so that was not automatically recognized. I'm just gonna establish that relationship. So we have our mini star schema, and about the average purchase price, I'm gonna think a little bit and see how I work that in. I guess we may not even need a separate date table, because usually I set up a date table, and there's some quite sophisticated models for date tables out there. I use a fairly simple one from a German guy named Nikolai Schuler, who was one of the teachers for Power BI. He's pretty good. But in this case, the only table that has date references really is the fact sales table, and to a smaller extent the average purchase price table. So I think we should fare well without an extra date table. I'm going to extract the year from our date. Say new column, call that one year, and use the year function. Now, how do I get the average purchase price into the fact sales table or how in general do I calculate the margin 1 in this project? In every project you're going to run into small and big challenges, small or big projects. So the first idea was I would get the average purchase price into the actual raw data in Excel, because I couldn't think of a way at first how to do it. So I thought I'm just going to do an H lookup. Look the values up in this table and then put them in here, and then I would have to do that for all 8 years, for each year once, of course, and slightly change the HLOOKUP formula. But then I ran into a better solution, because I thought I would connect the 2 tables through the year column, and then somehow read out the average purchase prices through some sort of Swift function or nested ifs. But I think there's something better, because I have 2 criteria. I have the product ID and I have the year. So I thought I'm just going to combine those 2, and then the combination will only occur. Each combination will only occur once in this average purchase price table. So 2015 1, 2015 2 are each just going to appear once, and in the fact sales table I'm going to do the same concatenation, and it will appear several times. So I'm going to have a very clear one-to-many relationship between the two. At first, I'm going to unpivot this thing. Unpivot columns. This is the product ID. And the year, and then the average purchase price. There is often the debate, do I calculate a measure, or do I add a physical column? With the data model being this small, like this is, it's almost too small for Power BI anyway. So I don't mind adding physical columns. I think I'm just going to do this with a column from examples. I'm going to call that prod year. And it's probably just going to take one example. Yeah, see, okay. It's already understood the whole thing. Okay, now I have to do the same thing. Change this to a whole number, of course. Do the same process with the fact sales table. Also has the product ID. Oh, where's the year? I have to add the year. Oh, right. But with the fact sales table, I did not add a physical column, so I can not do that in Power BI. I did that as a virtual column in DAX. So I'm just going to create a new column. Call that prod year equals product ID ampersand year. Job done. In my relationships, I'm going to create a relationship, a one-to-many relationship between those two tables, a one-to-many. The average purchase prices do not need a relationship to the dim products table. I mean, depending on what I'm going to analyze later, then I maybe can use the use relationship function if I need it, but I guess I won't. Now I'm bringing in the average purchase price with a related function with a nice little DAX formula here, and then we can calculate margin 1 and 2. Margin 1 is obviously going to be the sales price net minus the average purchase price, and margin 2 I'm going to subtract also the shipping cost, because that is a little more random. That depends on where the product goes and how quickly, how fast they want their shipping. So that's a bit random when you offer free shipping. Okay, margin 1 equals sales price net minus AVG purchase price. And there you go. Margin 2 equals margin 1 minus shipping cost. Thank you. Now let's see what questions management actually had. They want development of sales revenue and amounts of goods over the years. Yeah, let's just try line charts. Maybe a combined one. Let's see. Rough outline of margins. I would use probably a bar chart or a column chart for that. Customers' favorite payment methods. We have 6 payment methods, so yeah, arguably a tree map, a donut chart. Some people hate pie charts. I don't know. I think for small amounts of data or small amounts of categories, pie charts are fine. Let's try a few things out. This is revenue, margin in the suggested colors, and then amounts sold. I'm going to put in a trend line into the one on the top. Yeah, I'm gonna put a trend line in here too. So we see a clear trend up, and I've put also a time slicer, so if people want to examine certain periods more closely, they can zoom in. In 2020, a lot of stuff went down. So yeah, I think they're gonna like this for sales, margin, and amounts. I think I want to with revenue, margin 1 and margin 2. Probably a clustered one, yeah. Clustered one, use the years. Of course, I'm going to talk to the recipients of the reports. Maybe they want it in finer granularity, but I think years are a good start. Then I'm going to put the sales price net, the margin 1, and the margin 2. Right, I'm going to give all that my suggested colors. So go to the design, columns, the good old green for revenue. The first blue I used for margin, and then for margin 2 I'm going to use just another nice blue. Okay, and I'm quite sure I want data labels with those. Put the data labels on. Make them maybe a little bolder and a little bigger. Say what, yeah. That's not so bad. Okay, and then I think I want a filter for products. Put a filter for product name. And make this very distinguishable. So I'm going to give it a background so it can be clearly seen. Okay, it already takes effect on that visual. Then I want the payment methods, and I think I'm going to use a bar chart for that. And I'm not gonna ask how much revenue was paid through which channel, but how many times was it used. So I'm going to use the payment mode and then the number of sales. And of course, the payment graph works better if I use the right type of chart. So now I can filter the year by clicking on the columns here, and I can filter for the product using the filter. What would be a nice additional idea is a multi-row card. I think that would come in pretty well here. So put in definitely the revenue for the whole thing. Sales price net, margin 1, margin 2. In clear numbers. Shipping cost. And numbers sold, maybe. This is certainly not yet by any means pretty, but I put another trend line through the column chart here. We have the filter. I don't think the relation And payment methods will very much depending on the product. It's probably, yeah, it's staying pretty much the same. I gave the multi-row card a different background. The sum of margin per product, I first wanted to do it as a pie chart, but they all looked, the areas looked pretty much the same size, although they are not the same size. I mean, there's quite a distance. There's 24,000 between the can opener steel and the can opener Titan. It's just 2,000 from here to there, but it's 12,000 from here to that. So yeah, well, just make it pretty and ask management if they want anything else. But as a first draft, I think this is answering management questions. As I said, I have no ambition to win any art awards with my presentations, but I think this is pretty good already. I've added some titles. Most people think black is cool, and if they don't suggest anything else, I'm going to use that. I think it fits the young. It's a young crew. I just also added a header for the time slicer, so they know what to do with it. They know this is not some weird looking thingy at the bottom of the page. And of course I'm going to show them how to operate it. And we clearly see the business has grown considerably in revenue and margin. And revenue and margin correlate pretty much. So that's a good sign. So that they haven't bought negative margins with low prices. That's pretty good. I've changed the amounts and distinguished, the amounts graph and distinguished it by product. The colors are distinguishable enough. I tried with a ribbon chart, but that didn't look quite good here. So in this case, I'll leave it like that, because otherwise I would probably use a ribbon chart. I just did the other video about the Swiss supermarket where I used the ribbon chart for this, but in this case, nah, not so good. And here, now I can filter for products. I can filter for years by clicking on the columns. So I think this is pretty informative, and I think we have arrived. I'll present this to management, and they're probably going to say, yep, thank you very much. Send us a nice little bill, and keep up the good work.